it seems that both what the US side is aiming for as well as what the Iranians are indicating is this will be very different from the former war, that this is essentially all or nothing. So how likely do you think that this can be contained to the region? Because Iran's been already saying that anyone who participates they will retaliate against. And then you had Saudi Arabia saying, well, our airspace won't be used, so they take it serious. But do you think this will be contained? Because this is going to be very different, I think, from the previous war.
I think we learned, again, I'm not a military expert, but from what I gather, we have learned a few things. One is that Iran can penetrate Israeli air defenses. And I think they clearly demonstrated that they have hypersonic missiles that can do that. They did not aim them at highly sensitive targets the first time. In a war that is existential, they will aim them at highly sensitive targets. So this is one thing that I think will be very, very different. They are prepared for that. A second thing we learned is that the strikes on the nuclear facilities obviously did not end or perhaps even hinder Iran's path to nuclear weapons if they want that path. The amount of enrichment that they would have to carry out to take their current enriched uranium to the levels for an atomic bomb, or several of them, in fact, is not much. And so if this became an existential struggle, Iran could, I think, absolutely, without question, make a dash for nuclear weapons. They have said, and they have said credibly, we don't want that. We want the IAEA here to monitor. We will keep stringent limits on any kind of enrichment processing. But that's what the United States ripped up already a decade ago when Trump came in his first term. So the next point is that Iran themselves, and especially I think the Revolutionary Guard, could decide this is the fate of our nation, and we make a dash for nuclear weapons. If the situation became dire for Iran, I assume that other countries would support Iran. Iran is a big country. It is, of course, Israel tried through assassinations and through Mossad attacks and through the bombing a decapitation strike. It did not work. I don't believe it would work. And so this could be quite the prelude to a greatly expanded war. This is not Venezuela in America's backyard. This would be a war in the most explosive region of the world, with plenty of nuclear-armed countries all around here, and with significant stakes in what would be happening. So I think it would be completely reckless and potentially globally ruinous, and so it should be prevented now, before we have to speculate about how it's going to end. And again, I'm just dismayed to hear the German view of this. Not shocked, but dismayed. If we don't have countries in the world that are ready anymore to say you cannot launch wars like this in these explosive regions, completely against every principle that we have of the UN system, the chance for utter wreckage is very, very high. I believe the UN Security Council should be forced to meet immediately and stay in meetings and take its responsibility which is unique in the world to stop this and to say clearly to the United States, to the President of the United States, no, you cannot even threaten that way, much less make an attack. The threat itself is a gross violation of the UN Charter.
Yeah, I fear that it can't be prevented anymore, though, if all these capabilities are built up, and the only way to avoid it, according to Trump, is a deal which essentially is non-existent. It's hard to see what else they can go for.
Yeah, Trump sometimes backs down if he faces really a wall of opposition. In fact, he often backs down. He hasn't faced that wall right now, but I wouldn't stop trying to create the wall of opposition up to the moment, and even after, but up to the moment where Trump recklessly pulls the trigger. It hasn't happened yet, and God help us, there must be someone in Europe that has a brain left that, if only you were in charge, Glenn, but there must be someone in power that has some minimal sense of responsibility for humanity. And there are many countries around the world that don't want this to happen. And interestingly, I firmly do believe that the Saudis don't want a war, that Qatar doesn't want a war, that the Emirates does not want a war, that Turkey does not want a war. Do they really want to be in another Israeli-created regional war that could escalate to full disaster? I don't think anybody wants that other than Israel and its vassal state, the United States.
Well, on that grim note, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on this, and I really hope, yeah, there will be pressure. I doubt from the Europeans, but ideally from some of the regional allies. So
Yes.
thank you very much.
Great to be with you, Glenn. Thanks.